If you were to look at the Facebook bio for the next band, it really piques the interest. It says, and I quote, "There is a revolution afoot, a tidal wave of changing attitudes around the way that people think about their world, their responsibility towards the planet." It's taken a bit of doing, I must admit, and because I was unwell, and then the person I'm chatting to next is an incredibly busy man himself. But do you know what? We've managed it. Someone from a band that promises to deliver honest beats is on the phone. Hip-hop, electro, reggae and pop can be considered influences for the band Trenton and Free Radical. Sat in sunny South Africa is Trenton Birch himself. He's on the phone. How's it going?
Very good, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, not so bad. A lot better than the last time we emailed. I was proper hanging.
Yes, you weren't so well, my brother. Glad to hear you're on the mend.
Yes, yeah, all good, all good. It fell off, but I glued it back on and we're okay now. Now it's been a long time coming, but it's a good thing though, because it's allowed me to listen to more of your tunes, because I've had it on in the background whilst I've been doing my boring day job. This is obviously the much more interesting thing that I do. Offbeat Intros offers a place for people to meet bands, and that's what I'd like to do now. Can you give us a bit more information on Trenton and Free Radical? Where have you come from? Where have you been?
So we're based in Cape Town, although the band was actually ironically born in London. I was living there for a few years in Brixton. That's where we started. The concept for the band came about, and I met a guitarist there from Spain, and we just hooked up and connected, and then he moved back with me to South Africa. We've been going for 10 years. Yeah, it's just been a crazy journey, you know. We played lots of gigs in London and played sort of all over Europe, then came south and did the same here. And yeah, it's been quite a journey.
And tell us about the band themselves. Is it just you and session artists, or has it been the same band the whole way through?
My guitarist, Marco Wielander, has been with me the whole time, so we've been the first sort of main core of the band. I've had various different members come and go, but the last part of the band was pretty consistent for a number of years. Didn't want to play with session musicians. You know, it's difficult to get the culture and spirit into a band when you're playing with session musicians. So I've always tried to have band members. So even though some of the band members have swapped out over time, I've never considered them session musicians. You know, for bigger shows, we'd bring in the brass section or sort of expand on the lineup. I'm a band guy, you know. I love band culture, even though sometimes it's a pain in the butt to try to get bands together and to rehearse, and there's a lot of admin around that. But I think the unit and the culture of the unit is really important to music. So I've always tried to instill that in all the guys that I've played with.
So is there anything in the years since the band started that particularly stand out for you?
Yeah, I think one of the most exciting things for me was doing a track with Maxi Jazz, the lead sort of MC from Faithless. I met him out here when I was young, and he was at a press conference, and we sort of blagged our way into his hotel room that night and hung out with him and kept in touch. And I came to London for a few weeks and spent time with him for his 40th birthday, and went into the studio with him, went to a rehearsal, and he gave me the mic, and he was so amazing and warm and welcoming. And then 7-8 years later, we were working with a guy who'd worked with Faithless a lot called Gripper, and he played the track to Maxi, and Maxi realized it was me and was like, well, I want to jump on this track. So that was pretty special. He was a really big, iconic guy, huge sort of in the kind of roots scene, even though he was more hip hop and had ended up in electronica. That was definitely a highlight for me. And then he came down to South Africa to play a gig with The Prodigy. And I walked into his room and I said to him that I was opening for him. So it was quite a beautiful journey and he was just so open and warm. And at that point, he was a pretty big artist. So that just gave me a lot of hope for the music industry, because as you know, it's not always full of people who are so warm and welcoming and open. So that was a really special experience. And I think probably one of the highlights of the last 10 years of that particular band.
Yeah, I can imagine. Absolutely. It was actually, it's been a nice unintentional link for myself, because I was about to say the next tune is actually a real treat. And I had no idea of the cool people that you'd actually got to work with before we arranged this interview. So you've explained about the tune already. Would you like to introduce it?
Yes, so this is Trenton and Free Radical featuring Maxi Jazz, and the track is called Tomorrow's Day.
Trenton and Free Radical, Tomorrow's Day, and it features Maxi Jazz, as we've been previously told, from Faithless. The video for that track was shot in London and is well worth a look. In fact, you know what? I'm going to share it on social media a few days after the show drops on Mixcloud as well, so that people can have a look. I'd like to offer a platform for you now to promote whatever you like. Is there anything coming up that's worth shouting about?
You mentioned before we started, do we have any gigs? And the answer is no, not really. You know, the gig industry is flat globally at the moment, and South Africa is no exception to that. So, you know, the promoters, I really feel for the promoters, because I feel for us as artists. But you know, so there are very, very few gigs happening. We're expecting a second wave here, sadly. So I don't think the first half of next year is going to see much live activity. I'm just working on tracks, just writing, you know, in the studio. That's what I'm focusing on predominantly. You know, this is a good time to just reflect and to spend time on the craft of music, which is ultimately, you know, what we do. No big news at the moment. It's just wait and see with the current situation.
Yep, absolutely understood. I was only asking about gigs because I know that some people have done bits and bobs over the internet too. The next track that we were planning to play, you did say that it was actually quite a special one for you.
Yes, the next track is a very special track for me. I recorded it about 4 years ago. I was never really happy with the production, and it's about cannabis, so it's quite a controversial track, especially 4 years ago. I was also in a position where I just couldn't really release it, just due to my personal circumstances and the sort of negative kind of view of cannabis, especially 4 years ago. So the track was buried for a bit, and then sadly we had a gentleman in South Africa called Julian Stobbs, who was one of the couple called the Dacha couple. They were arrested for cannabis, and they took the government to court. And he was an activist and had fought very, very hard for legalization in South Africa. Had roots in the UK, actually. He was sadly killed in his house. South Africa, as you may or may not have heard, has quite a history of violence. I rewrote the track, repositioned it, reworked it. We reproduced it and dedicated the song to him and the cannabis industry and the people that have been kind of fighting for legislation. So the track is called Groot Boom, and it features Lee Scratch Perry, and it features a local rapper from the townships called Redondo, from a crew called Dreaman's Carp. So it all came together like really beautifully, and it just the universe. I was frustrated about the track and how it had come out in the beginning, and sometimes good things just happen when they're supposed to, and it really does feel like some divine intervention when this is the track for the time. And his partner, she's really pleased with it, and it's a humble tribute to a great man that did a huge amount of things for our industry. So that was that's been kind of the last few weeks of pushing it out, you know.
Now, you've previously taken the P out of my pronunciation. How do you say it's not Groot Boom as it's spelt? How is it pronounced again?
Yeah, so it's Afrikaans, so it's Groot Boom, which basically means big tree. You know, so Groot Boom. I don't expect you to get the R's right, but you can call it Groot Boom if you want. That's okay.
I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to copy that, but cool, wicked. Okay, I'm looking forward to having a listen. Let's get it on. Offbeat Reggae Radio plays the finest reggae, rocksteady, roots, dub and ska. I am lucky enough to have Trenton Birch from Trenton and Free Radical still on Skype. We're still having a nice little chat. Just played, I won't pronounce it.
Come on, give it a go.
I've already forgotten how you said it. Say it once more, I'll have a go.
Groot Boom.
Groot Boom.
Not bad, bro.
No,
not bad.
I think I just embarrassed myself.
You passed. All right.
Oh, it's very kind. That one features Lee Scratch Perry. What was it like to work with him?
So we didn't work directly, you know, as is the new music age where everything's virtual. I have a manager in Germany that had a relationship with them, and so him and his team. So we connected, sent him the track. He was like, well, it's about cannabis, and he's a big fan of cannabis. So he jumped on it. It was just, an honor, you know, for a South African artist to work with somebody of such a high caliber and with such history. And I couldn't believe it when our manager phoned and said, no, he really wants to get on the track. So yeah, it was a blessing to have him on the track, you know. And I think the other thing is I didn't mention earlier, is this is actually the final track that I'm releasing With this particular band, I've decided to go on my own. I am a band guy, but sometimes there's just natural evolution. So this is the final kind of swan song from the band, and I'm super, super proud of the collaborations that have happened and the way the tracks come out and the feedback we're getting, and the fact that it has so much meaning. That's one thing as an artist. I've always, I can't write vacuous music that talks about nothing. I'm a conscious human being, and I live in a country where there's a lot of pain and challenges, and I've always been kind of seen as an artist here, for socially conscious artist, or however people want to position me. But that's just the way it is, I've tried to write, silly pop songs, and it just never really worked. I believe that, my voice as an artist is to comment on the world around us, and so this track is about that, and it's I'm very, very proud that this is the sort of final track from the band. Obviously, never easy, sort of splitting from a band. It's like a marriage, so it was quite emotional when we made the decision. But I'm also very excited about the new sort of project I've got on the go, and the guys I'm working with. So, yeah, one door closes, another opens, but super proud that this is the way it's kind of come to an end.
Is that the band completely stopping, or are you leaving the band and they're continuing?
No, the band's completely stopping. I think, some of the guys in the band have also just moved into a space where, bands evolve naturally. Some people decide at some point they don't want to make music and they want to do other things. And, I'll make music till I'm old and grey. And that's just the way it is. And it's just natural evolution. I was sad for a little bit, but now I'm super excited because I'm sort of new and energized and ready to go.
Okay, well, the idea of this section of the show is that we introduce a band. I'm sure I know that you've got a back catalogue of tunes that people can check out, which isn't going anywhere. And also they now know that you'll be doing your own stuff too. So win-win.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, man. No problem at all. Thank you so much for your time. It's been really lovely talking to you. We're going to finish things up now with a choice. I gave you the opportunity to tell me of an influence or a song that you believe that we really need to listen to. Which one did you choose and why?
So it's a Prodigy song. Prodigy. I can never get the pronunciation right. I just love the vibe on this track, man. It's got emotion. I love music with emotion, reggae has a vibe, but you don't often find tracks that have deep emotion. They are out there, and this is just one of those that really pulls on my heartstrings. And he's an amazing artist. I have huge respect for what he's done. So, yeah, that is the choice.
Nice one. I will get it on for you. And thank you again. It's been great talking, and I hope you stay in touch.
Cool. Thank you so much for your support all the way from South Africa, supporting reggae music. Thank you, Andy. Bless up, brother.